Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday, March 16th. We are more than halfway through the month now. It's the first official day of the round of 64 for March Madness. Tim Strong and I will be on here a little bit later this morning, probably around 11 o'clock, filling out a bracket on our CBS Sports page. So if you want to pop in and give us your take and fill out a bracket along with us, please feel free to come on over and hang out there. Right now, though, we are taking a look at our top headlines, some of our biggest stories going on in the CSRA and beyond, some of the things you guys are clicking on over on our website, so we'll just go ahead and dive right into some of those. We start off with some news that developed overnight. One man is behind bars and a woman is dead after a shooting late last night in Augusta. That shooting happened on Brandywine Place off Boy Scout Road just before 11 o'clock. Deputies responding to a domestic violence incident there. Deputies say they asked a man to speak to them, but he instead started shooting at them. They shot back, hitting him once. He's now in the hospital with injuries. The deputies say they later found Common Gun dead inside that home. Her body was taken to the GBI lab for an autopsy. No deputies were hurt in that incident. To Aiken County now, someone passing by spotted a man from Stonecrest, Georgia, shot in a ditch on the side of the road. On Tuesday afternoon, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office responded to calls about a man on Kitchings Road near Old Barnwell Road. When deputies got to the scene, they found victim Carvin Stapleton shot multiple times. He was taken to Aiken Regional Medical Center, then to AU, where he died. Firefighters dealing with a brush fire in Aiken County stretching 2 to 4 miles caused by sparks from a train. Crews rushed to the scene to find dozens of fires along the tracks near Jackson, surrounding the area of Main Street and Old Jackson Highway. News 12's Taylor Martin spoke with the chief of Jackson Fire Department on how they were able to put out the fire and make sure nobody was hurt.
The smell of burning wood and smoke still fresh in the Jackson air hours after the fire started.
It was traveling towards the field. We started noticing that there's a lot of homes out here, so it was quick action to get down there and knock the important hot spots out.
As smoke filled the air for miles off of Jackson Highway, the Jackson Fire Department worked fast thanks to a call from a nearby homeowner.
They were looking down the line and noticed that it was fire on both sides of the line. So with that being said, they did the right thing, called 911.
Windy and dry conditions on a day with an elevated fire risk caused smoke to travel as crews worked to put out the fires. Captain Sizemore says that wind could have made this much worse.
It can change in a heartbeat. The wind pattern can shift these fires all kind of different ways. We've had a good bit of rain, but no rain's enough.
Captain Sizemore says in an area where homes are hard to reach, set back in the woods, he's grateful for the teamwork they saw today.
It's a blessing. We go back and forth with all these departments. We have mutual aid agreements, and we have each other's back at the end of the day. So if one needs us here or they need us there, we'll come. After a long, hard day at work, they come home, and this is what they're dedicated to do.
The fire department is still trying to figure out exactly what caused that issue, and we've reached out to Norfolk Southern and CSX to see who is investigating, and we will keep you updated if and when we hear back from them. The South Carolina Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon is testing a new device to monitor sex offenders in the state. The director of the field program says instead of using ankle monitors, the agency will use a bracelet to keep up with certain offenders. They're just in the beginning stages of this new technology. Experts are getting a head start on sending a message for National Sexual Assault Month. It's not until April, but Will Rio talked to experts about their message for survivors and looks at trends for assault cases here.
At Augusta University, Shelley Larkin serves as the Director of Student Health Services.
We're glad you came in.
But she serves a bigger role as the chair of the Sexual Assault Response Team in the Augusta Judicial Circuit.
We are seeing an uptick already in 2023 as well.
She's referring to the amount of sexual assault cases reported in the CSRA. Locally, there's an average of about 187 cases that were reported to law enforcement and the Rape Crisis Center.
I think coming out of COVID, you're seeing a lot of that, and I do agree we're seeing in our younger population, 14 to 18 years old. You're going to see in the research as well that most violence is going to happen by the time they turn 18, whether that's childhood violence, sexual trauma, some kind of personal violence, and we're seeing it more and more with dating violence as well in that population.
In the CSRA, Larkin says only about 20% of sexual assault victims report crimes against them. A new CDC report shows the percentage of young females who have ever been forced to have sex increased from 2011 to 2021.
Our goal is that they report support so that we can help them and we can provide resources.
Larkin says resources like schools, police, safe homes, the Child Enrichment Center, and every hospital offers services to help victims. She says early education is important, like the events AU sets up every year to show support and provide outlets for sexual assault victims.
You have more than just one person that can surround you with help in our area.
In Augusta, Will Rio on your side.
Larkin says as part of her sexual assault response team, the state mandates they have protocol in place with the chief justices in the circuit to make sure they have resources and reporting in place for victims. A group called Incarceration Transparency in South Carolina says at least 777 people have died in South Carolina detention centers from 2015 to 2021. Now, most of those were in state-run facilities, but on the county level, the study shows Spartanburg County Detention Center had more deaths in those 7 years than any other county in the state, 18 deaths at that center. And since last October, at least 3 other people have died in Spartanburg County's detention center. A mother whose son was in custody there says law enforcement still hasn't told her everything that happened for the 5 hours her son was in custody.
Every night I go to bed, I don't have my son and don't know why. Every morning I wake up, I don't have my son, I don't know why. I mean, y'all standing out here, you have family members. Put yourself in my shoes.
She says her son suffered from schizophrenia and was arrested for walking in the street. And in Augusta, we've had reports of 7 inmate deaths in the last 3 years. A parent is charged with reckless conduct. Parents charged with reckless conduct after a teacher found a gun in a Blue Ridge Elementary student's backpack, and in a separate incident, a student was caught with a knife at Harlem Middle School. Administrators say the student was showing it off to other students, and they have been charged with possession of a weapon on school property. Doctors Hospital and Fort Gordon teaming up yesterday to host a mass casualty drill. They focused on a scenario involving a devastating tornado.
Working with our staff on our SALT process is learning how to triage patients. That way we can triage them outside and get them where they need to be, criticals, non-criticals, and walkie-talkies inside of the ER itself.
Officials say the goal is to prepare for the future in case a major natural disaster hits our area. The renaming ceremony for Fort Gordon will be taking place in October. The new name is going to be Fort Eisenhower. A federal commission put together recommendations to rename facilities named after Confederate figures. And we're still waiting to hear if the family of late former President Dwight D. Eisenhower may attend. So far, no word on that just yet. Leaders in Columbia County are looking at the possibility of establishing a new city outside of Harlem and Grovetown. Right now, those are the 2 cities in the county. Everything else just incorporated communities, or unincorporated communities rather. But some leaders want to change that. They want to study what it could look like if Columbia County becomes its own city. Nick Veland takes a look at the pros and cons they're considering.
Yeah, well, leaders are hoping that once this study goes out, it'll come back with clear information of what it may look like with Columbia County becoming its own city. And city leaders are optimistic, or county leaders, excuse me, are optimistic that this will come back with more pros than cons.
There would not be an additional layer of government. There would not be any additional taxes.
But some people like Lee Munns are skeptical. Munns says he doesn't see any benefits to the change.
Governance-wise, no. Sheriff's Department-wise, no. Fire Department-wise, no. Water and sewer, no.
County Manager Scott Johnson says this change wouldn't impact the way the current government and Sheriff's Office do things. Johnson says there are some negatives with this.
The cities of Harlem and Grovetown would be, they would have the same land area that they have today.
The Bill 4 study can cost up to $100,000, something Johnson says will be worth the price tag.
We're looking for a efficiency and functionality study. It has to do with consolidation.
And this isn't the first time this has been attempted either. The county looked into this as early as 2006.
It's never been done exactly the way Columbia County would have to do it before. We are very much an anomaly. I think it is a heavy lift.
For some, they wish communication was a little clearer about the move the county is making.
At the end of the day, you need to do a very good job of explaining wholesale change to the community.
And Scott Johnson told me that the study isn't where this ends. Afterwards, the county's hoping to hold public information sessions to hear public input, and that's before this is going to be put into legislation that goes to the State House, and then that ultimately will be on the ballot for voters to decide whether they want this to happen or not. And he says that this is still a year to a year and a half out.
All right, thanks for that update there, Nick. Back here in Augusta, leaders are celebrating the preservation of a landmark in the Laney Walker Bethlehem neighborhood. The C.T. Walker House was home to Reverend C.T. Walker, founder of the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church in Augusta. It's not clear what the city plans to do with the building now that they own it, but city leaders are dreaming big.
The whole mindset is to create a thriving midtown. Whether that midtown is for breakfast in the morning, whether it's for coffee in the afternoon, whether it's to get a donut, whether it's for lunch. We want to be sure that for the most part, that what we said and what the commission allowed for us to be able to do, that we're doing that to the highest and best of our ability.
Yesterday represents the latest piece of the puzzle in revitalizing the Laney Walker area. Plans have been in the works for years now, but yesterday the city celebrated the purchase of the C.T. Walker House and other plots of land as part of that project. News 12 City Beat reporter Craig Allison has the latest.
Yeah, this whole area, including the plot of land that we're standing on right now, is set for more development with the city's over decade-long plan to revitalize the Laney Walker area. And with economic growth that has doubled the average household income from $16,000 back in 2008, they say now is time for growth to fill in those gaps.
This goes real deep. We talking about this is really the mecca of the Black history portion of Augusta, Georgia.
Leon Mabin is from the Laney Walker area and has lived here on and off for 60 years. He says it was about 10 years ago when he heard about the city's revitalization plan that he moved back.
I feel real good right now for what I see, but what I don't want to happen is that for this community to, with this revitalization, to lose the character and the history of this community.
The Housing and Community Development Department says that growth is in the 6 to 8 plots of land they have acquired through the help of the city and the land bank.
What that does is it allows for us now to truly have the conversation about a grocery store, to truly have conversation about delis, to truly have the conversation about coffee shops, and anything, everybody that makes persons feel good. So now is the time to say, okay, what is truly the plan?
This is just the beginning of what we believe will be the revitalization and the rebirth of not just Laney Walker as a neighborhood, but as a thriving community.
But it's not without its worries.
I hope that with this new prosperity coming in, that it does not force my old neighbors out.
And Housing and Community Development says that they will have another major announcement the week after Masters with this revitalization. But for now, in Laney Walker, Craig Allison on your side.
All right, thanks for that, Craig. Something we will keep an eye on, waiting for that announcement. An update on the renovations for the Bell Auditorium. Contractors working on the project say the overall price for renovations is about $17.5 million, but that does not include expenses like chairs, tables, and a bar. Those will cost another $450,000. The auditorium will close in July and will stay closed until May of next year. Parents, a bill that would restrict what can be taught in your child's school is being considered. The bill has already passed in the South Carolina House, and if it makes it into law, districts like Aiken wouldn't be able to teach or discuss race, gender, ethnicity, color, or national origin. It would also stop students and school staff from being forced to participate in mandatory gender or sexual diversity training or counseling. In addition to what can and can't be taught, the bill also extensively outlines a complaint process if someone believes a school is in violation.
Taxpayers fund our schools, parents have to send their kids to be educated, and they should expect an education that is free from ideological indoctrination.
I've been here for quite some time, and this is one of the worst pieces of legislation that I've seen.
In addition, an amendment allows parents to sue the district over violations without requiring they go through the entire complaint process first. The Georgia House is voting to define anti-Semitism in state law, a move supporters say would help prosecutors and others identify hate crimes and illegal discrimination against Jewish people. If approved, this Protections Act will fall under Georgia's hate crimes law. The Anti-Defamation League says roughly half people don't know the definition of anti-Semitism. 85% of people believe it's an anti-Jewish trope. One man from the National Jewish Advocacy Center says this is why anti-Semitism often slips through the cracks within the legal system.
This bill just draws a straight line and says no matter what you think about Jews or Israel, and you can say whatever you want, protest whatever you want, that's fine, that's speech. You can't then go ahead and shoot an innocent Jewish person because of how you feel. That's anti-Semitism.
The bill has passed the House and now heads to the Senate, where it is likely to pass there. Thousands of, let me get this up here. There we go. Thousands of teachers, law enforcement, and state employees in the Palmetto State could see their pay go up this year. It comes as the House passed a nearly $14 billion state budget. In the budget, public schools will receive more than $260 million more than they did last year. This would also raise the starting pay for teachers by $2,500 up to more than $42,000. The districts are already paying above the new minimum. They could decide if they want to spend their additional money on further raises, or they can spend it elsewhere.
Strongly encourage them to send that to teacher pay raises.
I think most of the districts have told us they intend to, but we've left that flexibility in place. If they wanted to do something different, they would have the ability to do that.
$30 million will be put to raising pay for state law enforcement officers. Senators take up the final budget next month. Then the two chambers will negotiate and send it to the governor. Some of the best young golfers in the world are here in the CSRA this week, competing at the Sage Valley Junior Invitational in Aiken. 8 of the top 10 boys and 8 of the top 10 girls in the rankings are here competing in this tournament. Our Alyssa Lyons caught up with them on the final practice day before they head out today and the strokes start to count.
On Your Sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
We're so lucky. The best junior golfers are in one spot for 1 week, many of them ranking in the top 10 of their respective fields. And whether you know them by name, by swing, or by trend, they're making their mark on the sport. A return to the field for Anna Davis.
You know, the golf course we play and the way they treat us is just like beyond what any other golf tournament does.
A first for South Africa's Aldridge Potgieter.
It's always nice to start a competition with a new field that I'm not familiar with, but having a smaller field, it's kind of nice. It's not overcrowded. The driving range, it's enough space.
Davis finished third last year before heading across the river and capturing the Augusta National Women's Amateur title.
It's like the pressure can be a little much, but I think, I don't know, you just have to like remember it's just not that deep. Like you're playing golf, like it's okay. There's more to life than just, you know, hitting a golf ball around. So I think that's kind of my mindset with the whole thing.
The impact Davis had last year is not lost on her.
I remember hearing it from like other like pro shops though, like in the country, like they're saying like they were selling like so many bucket hats and stuff like that. And the bucket hat that I wore had like the seahorse from Ponte Vedra, and like one of my family friends is like the merchandise person there. So like they sold out like all of their bucket hats there because I wore it. I don't know, it's kind of cool. I didn't think it was going to go that crazy, but you know.
Potgieter was the youngest in this year's field at the Open Championship at St. Andrews.
It was awesome being at St. Andrews and meeting all the heroes of me growing up. So it was nice seeing them and getting to play with them and having an awesome experience.
Potgieter punched his ticket to the Masters.
Got the invite late. They sent it to a wrong address, so I had to contact them. They asked if I got the invite yet, and I said I haven't, so it was a bit of a struggle to get it, but it arrived, so that's a relief, yeah.
Seems like that's kind of the trend this year. Golfers here at the Sage Valley Junior Invitational are still starting out and have a while until they can really say they are playing at the top of their sport. They had a visit from someone who knows what it's like to be at the top, playing with former Gator Tim Tebow, many of which were in diapers when Tebow played.
Honestly, it was a lot of great questions that they had, great conversations. You know, how did you handle certain things, and you know, how would you balance certain things? And so it's just really a fun time of being able to interact and and just really encouragement, because I think that's something that's so needed. You know, I think one of the things that it can be so challenging about golf is it's such a mental game. All sports are, but golf is, you're out here for 3-4 hours by yourself, and so just to be able to encourage them, and I think that's something that I, hopefully came across.
Tebow played with Bailey Shoemaker and Ryan Schlimm. Schlimm is actually committed to play for Florida. While his visit was short, he hopes his message is something they can take with them throughout their career.
They're going to face so many highs and lows in their career, talking about handling that, facing fear, facing highs, balancing all of it, handling criticism, just being able to go out and pursue your passion and live with purpose and be able to embrace it and enjoy it every day.
The first tee time tomorrow is set for 10:40, and while the tournament will continue throughout Saturday.
All right, thanks for that, Alyssa. Can't wait to see that. A good little precursor to the Women's Am, and then, of course, the Masters coming up here in just a couple weeks. And speaking of the Masters, the club released the dinner menu for the Champions Dinner this year, hosted by Scotty Scheffler. Let's take a look at it. So we've got cheeseburger sliders. Can you guys see that? Let me, oh, can't make it any bigger. Okay, whatever. All right, cheeseburger sliders served up Scotty style. Whatever that means. I don't know. Texas boy might have something up his sleeve. You got firecracker shrimp, tortilla soup, the Texas ribeye steak, and Scheffler said he's not a big fish guy, but is serving a blackened red fish if somebody's not into red meat. And then for dessert, a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie, milk and cookies, and ice cream as well. So pretty loaded menu there. Still really want to know what the Scotty style burgers are. Going to have to ask when we get out there this year, see if we can figure out exactly what's going on there. But folks, that is going to do it for the headlines for this morning. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Again, we're going to jump back on here at about 11 o'clock. Tim and I are going to fill out a bracket, so if you want to pop in and fill one out along with us, be sure to do that. Also, if you haven't downloaded our streaming app, you can do that as well. We've got that on your Roku, your Fire Stick, your Apple TV, whatever your favorite streaming device is. It is free to download. Just search WRDW there, and you can give it a download. We've got all of our I-Team investigations, First Alert weather forecast, sports coverage, live newscast, Ariel Augusta. Really everything is on there. We've also got a YouTube channel that's actually streaming live right now. It's streaming this headline segment. If you want to subscribe to that, it's WRDW News. And again, we post everything on there. All of these little clips that we do, all of our stories and whatnot, those are going to be on there as well. So you can give that a subscribe to keep up to date with what's going on here in the CSRA and beyond. But yeah, that's going to do it for right now. We will see you back here in a little bit. Thanks for tuning in.